Well, welcome everybody to GitHub PBL workgroup. I shared a bit of what we're going to have in agenda. So the first thing I'm going to share the Miro board orientation. So in the description below, we will find in the YouTube description below, you can find a link to Miro board. Right now you are in this section, Miro board orientation, and if you zoom out, it will reflect what we already have in place. So we are going to have meeting templates for each of the consecutive meeting we have. Today, this is our first meeting, so this is going to be on the left side, and it will move like 4 sessions to the right or so, and everything that is going to be historical, it will move above. So we need to move this above when the row is kind of, because we don't want to go too much the right edge and have everything to the recent meetings closer to the red window areas, which are basically documentation and like guiding material. For example, we have project stages, and this in here we will list off like the general process for doing the lessons, because most of this work group, what we're gonna do is create educational content. And this is our process to go through that content. We will plan in meetings, then we will start drafting them asynchronously. In the calls, we review them, we give quick pointers to all these lessons. Then we have some time to review it or edit based on the review, do another review, and if there is anything left to do, then we will finalize the lesson, and auditing and publishing is more of an asynchronous task. This has been taken from the Dework PBL, so this may change and we may come back to it and do some changes there if needed. Then right below this part is relevant links. And here we will start putting everything like references to documentation or things we do. So for now, we have the proposal stuff included here and the Dework board page. But eventually there will be Q4 report. We will find the course website here, GitHub repository, and GitHub board for task management. So we start off with Dework task management, but if we are successful, by the end of the quarter, we will start doing tasks and management on the GitHub itself, as while we are teaching how to use GitHub. On the right side, under the meetings will be schedule. Today, we will populate that schedule with some meeting dates. Right now, we only have this first meeting here, and we may start including some deliverables and perhaps some publicity messages or anything, any extra information that we need. Then on the bottom here, like this bottom bar, project stages, GitHub PBL structure and GitHub PBL lesson status, these are more related to the content we are going to create. For the structure for now, if there is time today, we will go over this and we can start ideating. Right now, this is a copy paste from Dework PBL, but there are some things that may repeat. For example, creating a Discord account or like creating GitHub account and learning actions. How do you learn this course? How do we provide feedback to this course? Some of these may remain the same, but some may not. So we're basically going through and use this window to have this huge overview of each of the lessons we provide and the context for that. And on the right side here, this was basically the visual process map. So in Dework PBL, we don't bring like every action or every lesson there. Well, we try to do it, but it might get mushy, and some maybe you do a lesson and then you get rewarded in 1 month and it moves to the done section. But then there is some edits going to be done, and they're like on the Dework board or GitHub board, it may not be that clear what's the status. And so this is a way to kind of visualize in what stage the entire module is or very specific lessons. And it will basically copy the main part of what we come up with from the ideation part. And yeah, this is something for the future to kind of keep in mind. And that's the Miro board itself. Now going into the proposal. So GitHub PBL workgroup is quite a simple, well, I don't know if a simple one, but mainly we are providing space to learn using GitHub for project management. So this is like a first session where there is more of project management itself rather than using the GitHub, but over future sessions, once we start ideating what do we want to learn about GitHub and actually writing content about what do we want to learn, we will hopefully pick up some new skills and to manage GitHub. We create the PBL course on Andamio about GitHub features and use cases to manage Singularity and Ambassador program or projects. So it's very focused on what do we do in Ambassador program, and we continue to use the Andamio. And there is a third version of Andamio that is already out, I think. So we will have an introduction to that too at some point. But for now, it will be all the content we create at the early stage will be on Google Docs because it's easier to review, edit, and kind of go over. And the formatting and all that stuff can be looked into later. Our deliverables will be these meeting summaries that we're going to have in this meeting. Course website for the lessons. Those who don't know, we are using project-based learning framework, which includes onboarding, basic background knowledge, and then specializing, and then contributing. So in the onboarding, it's all about like the basic things. Do you have a wallet address? Do you have like anything that you need in order to engage effectively and Ambassador program, all the tools you need? And then how to engage with the course and itself. And the basic background knowledge, we will have all the GitHub features we are going to use, or if any workgroup is using. And we will have like explainers on different views and the fields that we can use in GitHub. For specializing, for now, we are going to focus on how this workgroup is going to be managed. So it will include the same video we just creating now, like giving the context, but it then will go in detail. How do we transition from Dework to GitHub and how we are making GitHub tasks, what tags we use, labels we use, milestones we use, or whatever features we're going to use. So this is going to encapsulate basically many of the features and kind of give the best practices of that. And then custom task management features to make GitHub task importable for Swarm Treasury Manager. So that's another thing we need to look at once we are able to move to GitHub PBL, like to GitHub all the project management we do. Then we will also export it out and start to kind of see what issues we have importing it into Treasury Manager. And if there are any, then we will basically update the best practices of how to manage GitHub, so that all you have to do is using GitHub, and then the treasury manager, or that is all goes smoothly there, and everybody gets funds distributed. As you know, right now, everybody who works on GitHub, if they want any funds, they need to create duplicate tasks on Dework to get those funds. So yeah, at the end, there should be a guiding on how to kind of mitigate that. And in treasury automation workshop, we did get funded to do that integration. So that comes from a different budget. And finally, contributing, how can students help build this course? We did try with the feedback forums for the Dework PBL, but it didn't really work. So well, it worked if we filled the feedback forms in the live meetings itself, but asynchronously, it didn't. It's unclear, was it because most of the people who already used Dework didn't really care about sharing that. Those who completed the course maybe didn't see a need. And of course, there was this situation that the later stage, at third iteration, when we did it, where we had most students kind of going through the Dework, the Dework PBL, it was kind of in the status of getting deprecated, because once we move to GitHub, we will stop also supporting improving the Dework PBL. And so we may end up not using Dework in then, like maybe in the end of next year, maybe nobody uses Dework anymore. We'll see. Open source repository for course website, obviously, and then we will have evaluation quizzes. So there were situations where some people, I know GitHub, I don't need to know anything. So these quizzes will help to kind of take these lessons we created, make some quizzes, and allow people to kind of go through in like 5 to 10 minutes and to suss out if they need to do the course, do they have something to learn here, or they are already capable of using GitHub and kind of move straight to specializing. And maybe we do quizzes for specializing too. And yeah, finally, we reach up with quarter report. For the team, here we will have facilitators. We will use the same process as other work groups that I'm facilitating, which is basically you get rewarded for being in this call by contributing to the work group in the past 3 months. But because this is a new work group, there is no past contributions. This is the first contribution you do is joining here. So we will use the Dework PBL work group as like a basic starting point. And every month then we will add in new contributions in and calculate then this meeting rewards and upcoming rewards, meeting rewards that any come up. We have content organizer can help to design course sequence. So course sequence is basically once we ideate that and then give some thought on in what sequence it is. Format and like we change the sequence like of very, I don't know, 5 times, I guess, at least in Dework. So I'm quite sure it's going to happen here too. Formatting and designing content. So once we do get these like Google Docs and we got all the quality content and links and everything we need there, then somebody has to start making it nicer and look it good on Damia website, which uses Markdown language. And finally is the technical part of uploading it to GitHub. Maybe not all have that experience, so something also to be able to learn. Coordinator for technical documentation, if there is anybody interested. So we may end up having like parts or things that we prefer in the Damia site. For example, the quizzes we talked about, and there could be a potential to build these quizzes into the Andamio itself, and maybe allocate some tokens and stuff. So there are several things that take time to set up for Andamio. So some of us will have opportunity to be part of coordinating all of that happening. Content creators, creating the content itself. We are also rewarding completing the course. So all the people who are interested in GitHub and just the educational content we do, or even if they know the content, going through it and giving pointers is like a very valuable thing for us. And consider it as contribution. And work group leads then can manage support roles and basically do everything above. And the work group leads are now these 4 people who were interested in the beginning with this project. How to get onboarded? Well, you kind of onboarding yourself. It's joining to the meetings, watching the videos that we are just about to create, and Miro board for documentation if anybody wants to learn more. And this proposal gives quite in-depth information. We try to, there are some measures and metrics we kind to try to achieve. And our roadmap is basically starting off, setting up the workgroup meetings, learning about what we're going to do, and then we start ideating lessons. Then we distribute the lessons, review the lessons. Well, there in the middle, there is like uploading and formatting the lessons to the Andamio platform. Then we start trying the course, and each iteration we assess if it's ready to be launched. So that's it from the proposal side. And now going into the budget itself. Okay, there were some asynchronous discussions on that. So basically today we will ratify if that's the case and then schedule based on accordingly. So this is how the funds were kind of meant to be distributed. At the end, you will see estimated cost in dollar and estimated cost in quarter. So basically we'll look at the quarter results, and we now need to reduce it by around 20%. So that would be around 500. What? Comment on there? No. Around $500 that we need to reduce. The first thing that comes up to mind is like reducing session amount 2. It will make it very difficult for coordination. So we need to be preparing these sessions and having like very clear goals for these sessions is like utmost importance if we start reducing that. And if we reduce it by 2 sessions, it will win us $220 already, which is kind of a good, like already almost half of what needs to go down. And another affected, and another like biggest budget is content organizing. And that is once we get to this part and we start getting the lessons, and when we update Andamio, and at some point when we are like, it includes the formatting, and then if you do changes, it takes time to kind of change content around in Andamio itself. So here I would reduce it by like percentual cut. So let's say if we need to reduce it by 5%, then it would take like $50 off here. or maybe if you take, because technically, if I said 20% needs to be reduced, it should be 20% from all of that. Okay, so let's say 20% from here would be $120. Another thing, create percentually less content and the other activities cost should come down too naturally. So here it's about creating lessons. I just allocated a flat rate of $600. And I think it was actually even higher at the beginning, but we had concerns about too high costs. So I used the average rate of what it took to do it in Dework PBL to all these lessons. And now if we do less lessons, then all of the other stuff like completing the course, I don't want to affect at all. But creating the core content and organizing assets should also take less time because there is just less content to oversee. Okay, it looks like overall we can reduce the by 20%. So technically, let's say if we took $120 from here and it's $120 from here, we are very close to having a $500 reduction, like $40. Basically, I don't know, like we can't put like a definite number, but these would be the values we are going to reduce. As for quizzes, it may be cheaper than expected $200 because here we'll leverage a lot of AI. So what we can do is once we have the lesson ready, we throw it to the ChatGPT, ask 10 questions or 20 questions or 100 questions, and then in calls or asynchronously, we decide which questions are the best and and that should be quite easy and doable. But yeah, now it also depends how many lessons there are. So I guess the last part is also, let's say, the last 40 parts comes over here, and that would put us to $500. So any thoughts here on the budget planning? Does it make sense? And how do you feel about having 4 sessions this quarter?
Timo, do you mind clarifying one budget item? I think that's the course, the Andamo management. I want to confirm if it is what I'm thinking.
Okay, and what you thinking?
That's like Dework, and it's some kind of, I don't know if it's a wallet or if it's a treasury system. I'm just thinking, what is it?
So the Andamio is how they call it, learning management system. So it is a website where is the course. So if you remember the Dework PBL, that it's going to be very similar. Let me see if I can find it quickly. But let me see also if I can find a new version. So I can drop you the link itself. So that's a general overview. So this is the Dework PBL, and that is built on Andamio. And it provides a framework to create these modules on the left side and connects all of these learning targets into overviews. It provides this markdown language to show content. And in the background, we disabled it, but it also has wallet connection. So if you are So we can make it so that you need to connect your wallet in order to learn, or even make so that you need to learn first this task before you can go to this task, or like do any kinds of like token gated onboarding or journey. And in the background, it will also includes the way to manage all the students, know how far in the course they are, what they have achieved. It actually comes also with like project management, so that yes, people can get paid doing lessons. And because it's meant to be like project-based learning, so if you will want to go crazy, we could like set up a create a lesson on this, and if that lesson is ready, we can kind of reward through the Dework PBL. But I don't know, I haven't used that myself, and I find like Dework PBL like Dework itself quite easier to do the reward management. So we are primarily using it for the educational courses. And here you can see our partners are doing lessons. For example, if we take up the project-based learning course. So this is the new platform we'll be using, the newest version. And same thing, you will have the lessons here. The content looks like there are some new features here about sharing some kind of thumbs up, browse all content, and our course will be here in the GitHub PBL as a sixth or whatever number of courses there will be. I don't know, did I answer the question? Korka, you have your hand up.
Before I want to ask about the proposal. Oh,
You did. I was just
I
hello?
think, Love, we have a 5-second lag.
Yep. I want to ask about the proposals and the like this Excel. When will those who have expressed interest in implementing parts of this proposal start participating to do so for the roles that have been provided in the proposal? For example, like content creator and content organizer, or something else like on these roles on this proposal.
So, for example, let's say we agree that we attempt to do this work group and complete these proposals with 4 workshops. That would mean that when today we will focus more on the project management side and setting it all up and kind of providing the context of what is GitHub PBL workgroup and how to involve. Then let's say we meet again, I don't know, in 1 week or like the end of the week. Okay, let's say for now that we meet again next week. Then we will start ideating on the GitHub structure, all the lessons we want to do, and or what needs to be done. And at the same session, we will assign who would do the lessons. And then let's say we give ourselves, I don't know, 3 weeks to do it. And we meet again, let's say, actually, I just realized this is
So
September.
the GitHub PBL work group meeting, it's not bi-weekly again.
No, we have we decide when we want to meet.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And this is when we decided today in this meeting.
Okay.
And okay, so let's say today we have this meeting, context. Next one, we are basically doing content ideation and distribution of accountability. Then we give some asynchronous time. So even if meeting doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that communication stops. We have Discord channel. Would hope that every week or somebody gives an update. And then let's say we meet again in 3 weeks, as we mentioned. We join here. We review all the lessons. This is that stage where we are here, that we are now reviewing it. We go over the content. It may have to go with, like a long session, and we may actually be like a 3-hour call or something, just to, depending how much of the stuff gets done. And then people can go again to this asynchronous mode to finalize, finish, or take up new lessons. So maybe the first capacity, let's say we have only 4 people who wanted to contribute, then I would say that perhaps we get done with onboarding and a bit of background knowledge. And then we meet again. Well, I do have a situation where I'm going to Cardano Constitutional Convention. I'm gonna be there quite a long time, so I'm not able to participate that effectively. So maybe perhaps the last sessions could be somewhere at the end of December, where we no longer review it. But in this asynchronous way, we're basically, okay, I'm getting ready, the content is fine, and then asynchronously somebody starts uploading that or formatting that to GitHub or the Andame. And the last session,
So the students can learn our courses at key Q1 on 2025.
In that plan, as of now, we should do the first course attempt and student stuff on December.
On December.
Yep.
All right. So in the project status session, what part are we doing right now?
Right now, we are planning the schedule and all the actions and steps we need to take in the middle. So, for example, I think like 1 week is too fast. So let's move it to here. So between now and the next session, we will need to set up a GitHub board, because GitHub board and GitHub access to everyone who wants it. Of course, we don't know when, but that should be done at some point. Well, to me, if I'm looking at the schedule, it's gonna be very hard for me to do that, and maybe at the end of week, let's say here. Then if everybody has access now, and everything works, then people can go into the GitHub and start clicking around there, see what potentials there are, and you get accustomed with the information.
So we don't need like to track our bugs on our courses.
We would need to do that, and we will do that on Dework. So now let me show you how the Dework looks like.
All right.
And I'm gonna put that like this here on the left side. And these I can close now. So GitHub people workgroup is a very clean Dework for now. It has nothing else other than me preparing the session a bit. Well, I didn't push it to the finish, but at least prepared something, the Miro board and stuff. And that is written preparing GitHub PBL workgroup session. So that is a core operation of preparing bi-weekly meetings. So of course now it's no longer bi-weekly. Now it's a bit less. And the way it's gonna look like is when somebody is late, for example, creating lessons, then on the Dework, we will have a template. So this is something I need to also prepare here. Is all of these tasks basically should be in templates. So Andamio management should be included, and that is something that is an asynchronous task, and I'm going to put it down here. GitHub Open Access and create Dework templates for tasks. And yeah, and then we can, let's say, you are creating quizzes. I guess the creating quizzes is like a future stage, but let's Andamio management itself, that will be a task. And then we simply assign who did it. We all know what is Andamio management, and you collect your time. Even though we say that it's $20 per hour, it's no longer actually effective in a sense that this is our maximum reward. So every month we will divide this. But basically we use the estimated. No, we can't use estimated cost. So we divide it by 3 and then reduce it by 20%. And this is the first month bucket.
All right.
And everybody who contributes to Andamio management, we will sum up all your hours and distribute the monthly reward based on those hours. However, if let's say if we have the first month, we will share, okay, let's say $200. If somebody does 5 hours of work, then we don't give them the $200, but then we will still use the maximum rate is like $20 per hour. But let's say if 2 people are both providing 10 hours, that would mean that they both would get $100, which is like at effectively $10 per hour instead of 20, because they kind of went over budget. This kind of protects us from going over budget and leaving funds to other activities.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And same will be for the course content. So if you are creating a lesson, all you will have here is a template to create lessons, and that will be then, yeah, you just kind of list your hours, and you can in subtasks maybe mention what kind of lesson you worked on or in description. And then again, at the end of month, we collect everybody who contributed to lesson creation and divide it equally based on time spent.
So how we created our lessons on Andamio? Will we be given access in Andamio to create our lessons, or?
To be figured out. I don't know yet how the Andamio version 3 works, but for initial lessons, we will use Google Documents because that's the easiest way to share among ourselves and update it, because most likely the first drafts are going to be edited anyway. And like the formatting is like the secondary thing. And here is the administration, workgroup documentation, support activities. And there it's the same way. It's allocated $200. So if somebody wants all these great Dework templates for tasks, GitHub, great GitHub or GitHub access to everyone, these will all now go under the administration tasks. If somebody
Okay.
wants to contribute and say, I know how to create the template tasks, or you want to draft them, just let me know, and then
Right.
you can create it, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Tiku, for the information.
Yeah. And that would be a kind of good segue into Dework 4, but there is nothing much more to share here. That was basically the how the Dework management will look like, and maybe later we will just replicate the same way we use Dework in, or try to replicate it in GitHub. Yeah, of course, a lot of this stuff is going to be undercosted, but I think even if we do like bare minimum, we will get the useful content out, and if we can always try to see if we get funded in next quarter to improve it. It all actually comes down to how many people are able to contribute to the content or lesson creation, which is the main part of it. The other things like the administration stuff, these are all like one-time things, and once we set it up, they are kind of set up. Does anybody else have questions? Okay, I see a chat here. Is there a preferred feature on Andamio that we can't use the same site with Dework PBL? I'm not sure what you mean. You mean, well, it's just that the newest Andamio version is more up to date, and it's like the other version is everything that had very good stuff, like every good thing is being built on the newest version. It's just like an infrastructural change is necessary, and the fact that it's meant for large ecosystems, and where the other one was more like testing, and we were the testers by making Dework cards. That's why was it also funded like $2,000 of funding came from governance squad, because we were kind of imposing using a tool, but then also incentivizing and rewarding people for trying out new tools to teach people, and using community tools for that.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions or like something anybody wants to share?
No questions for me. I think it's clear.
Okay, then for now, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can start ideating and discussing the full schedule, try to get all the things, action items that come up that we need to consider putting into this plan, so we have asynchronous view into like activities that we do asynchronously, what to expect, and when to meet, and see if we are. And yeah, basically doing the planning is the main focus today. Oh yeah, and later we can. Actually, before I call the recording, I will share this thing, but it's not guaranteed that we will do it. But there is a project management board that some you have maybe remember it from the first time when the first workgroup was set up, the translation workgroup. It was called Ambassador Translator or something back at that time. And then I used this model to figure out what's in place, what's not in place, and how to improve. So the first section here is basically meant to figure out where is the documentation, like when somebody wants information, where can they find it for documentation, and then where people communicate. So it's basically like a fact check or a quick check, like for example, we coordinate on meetings and in Discord. We do provide progress reports as meeting summaries, but we don't provide asynchronous progress reports or anything like that. But yeah, we can like list things what we have here, and it kind of gives a good overview. And then what templates we use? Well, if you're going to do the Dework templates, we will have that. Other than that, we don't really have many templates. Guides, resources, and we can share that. And then next section, we have coordination management, like how do we coordinate? And do we prepare? And like what areas we cover? For right now, I prepared the onboarding. There is gonna be some coordination. I'm not sure, we are not assessing the feedback. And this is like, and this kind of matrix table helps to see the downsides or upsides, and it doesn't mean that all of this has to happen. It's like if you don't assess feedback, it doesn't mean it's missing, or like really it is missing, but it doesn't mean it's bad, because it's just kind of a reflection of the status of how are the management coordinated. And there could be different reasons why something is done, why it's not. Because like we have time constraints, we want efficiency, and sometimes not always it makes sense to make check-ins or have oversight sessions or coordinate on reviewing these things with a smaller team. If it gets bigger, like let's say 20 people, then this stuff gets more maybe relevant for all the others. And finally, there is this task timeline of how the task moves from to do and done, and our tasks are basically the things we listed in the project, like creating quizzes, creating lessons, coordinating, making meeting summaries. And we could list some of them, like general points, like when it comes to do, how it comes to do, what it means if the task is in progress, and so on. So this whole thing takes a bit, like the first part is maybe a 20-30 minute discussion to go through. The later part, we don't have to fill it for all, and maybe we can just have like a clarification or very specific technique, how to create lessons. But in our case, I think we have a very straightforward process as it's laid out in here. Yep. So something to think about. But now, for those who are reviewing or watching this from the YouTube, you will find the meeting summaries in description below and all the necessary information.